This video is from my IB Visual Arts course, and I will be discussing 5 of the works of art I've completed so far. My first work of art, which was completed on September 30th, 2012, was the self-portrait assignment, and I used graphite pencil for this. I experimented with graphite pencil in my exploration of materials, seen here. I experimented with the pressures of 2H, 6B, and H, and I incorporated this into my work of art by using 2H to roughly outline what I was going to draw, since the pencil lead was really thin and light. I used HB to shade and give parts of my head or shoulders depth, like in my hair, and I used 6B to permanently outline my portrait. A struggle I had with this work of art was being precise with the lines, because it got a little difficult to be precise when shading or when drawing the contour lines. My second work of art, which I completed on October 9th, 2012, was the room assignment. I chose to draw my fire escape because it's my most favorite and relaxing room to be in. I had a choice between 2 techniques of line variation or cross-hatching, and I was unsure of which one to do, but after doing the cultural and historical investigation on M.C. Escher, I was able to see what one could complete with just cross-hatching, so that's what swayed my decision. Again, I used graphite pencil for this material. However, I only used the B pressure on card paper. A success I had was creating atmospheric perspective, because the foreground was very vivid while the background was blurred and you could tell how close you were from something or how far away. A struggle I had was mastering the technique of cross-hatching, because instead of just cross-hatching where there's shadow, I cross-hatched for where there's color or darkness or something that was not shadow. My third work of art was the time assignment, which was completed on December 2nd, 2012. Because this assignment was vague, I used a brainstorm to develop my ideas. This brainstorm included ideas such as childhood, Earth, or evolution, and ultimately branching off from those ideas, I came up with a restaurant named San Yer in Chinatown, which is personally relevant to me, because I visit it a lot and my mom used to visit a lot as well. For this work of art, I used acrylic paint, which I explored in my exploration of acrylic paint. I used the 2 techniques, painting with no added water, which is a very dry and vivid color, while painting with added water at a ratio of 3:1 had a lighter, thinner color. A success I had was using tape to allow me to stay inside the lines, because acrylic paint, I found out, was very difficult to manipulate, which was also a struggle, because I wasn't able to have exact, precise lines while I was painting. My fourth work of art, which was created on December 16th, 2012, was an artist's choice, and I chose to paint my classmate Malachi Rogers using watercolor. I created an exploration of materials on watercolor in which I tried 3 techniques, but I only chose to use one technique, which was called dry brush, which is when you load the paintbrush full of pigment and paint on a dry surface. A success I had with this work of art was creating proportion and realisticness in his face, and I completed this by using cross multiplication, in which I measured a picture of him from my computer screen in proportion to my watercolor paper, and I used cross multiplication to figure out the length of his nose or his eyes or something, to make sure it was the right size according to his face. A struggle I had was how thin the watercolor paper would get after painting on it after a while because the water would eventually dampen the paper and make it weak. The assignment for my 5th work of art was one of 3 Emily Dickinson poems. I completed this on January 17th, 2013. I chose the poem They Drop Like Flakes, and I focused on a few sentences in this poem, which are, "Of wind with fingers goes. They perished in the seamless grass. No eye could find the place." And these lines, although vague, directed the reader of sort of a vulnerable and eerie scene. In this, I was able to connect with a book I'm currently reading called Blood Meridian, which is a sort of Wild West scene, but it's very dark and not the typical Wild West people would imagine. The materials I used was acrylic paint, again, like in my 3rd work of art. This time I used all 3 techniques that I tried, which were painting with added water at a ratio of 3:1, painting with no added water, and painting with added medium at a ratio of 3:1 as well. However, this time I did not use a paintbrush. Instead, I discovered the technique of pouring through Paul Jenkinson's cultural and historical investigation. And Paul Jenkins was able to complete a wide variety of looks in his artworks just by using this technique of pouring. He used pouring in a way where he was able to bleed it or pull it into the canvas or roll it around or use a paint knife to spread it lightly, but there's never a brushstroke used, and his works of art were really incredible, and this inspired me to try this myself. The success I had was accomplishing the abstractness of this work of art because I'd never really done an abstract work of art so far, and it was pushing me out of my comfort zone, which I was trying to do. However, a struggle I had was being realistic and budgeting my time because although there is no specific detail with brushstrokes needed, I didn't realize how much time it would need to be done.